Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Janet and I just wanted to do a quick video on how I started saving while living paycheck to paycheck. Now I'm pretty new to the savings community. I started about a year and a half ago. For one thing, we were living paycheck to paycheck. I didn't really think we had any money that we could save. So what I decided to do was, at the very least, I decided that we could start putting our change in a bottle. So when we went shopping at the end of the week, any change that we had left over, I would bring home and I would put into a bottle. And I was consistent. We did it every week. It didn't seem like it was a lot of money. It was a few bucks here, a few bucks there, whatever we had left over. In Canada, we have $1 and $2 coins instead of $1 and $2 bills, so they actually add up fairly quickly. And about 8 months in, I had almost $700 saved just from throwing extra change into a bottle. We continued with that until last March, which is when I decided, after finding the budgeting community and looking for, because I went to YouTube because I had started a little bit of savings. We'd accumulated a little bit of money. So I was looking for ways to save more, ways that I could increase my savings, things that I could do to get a little bit more out of my paycheck and put a little bit away, because I was really enjoying saving the coins, and once it started adding up, I was motivated. So I found the budgeting community on YouTube and I was blown away with the amount of videos and other people who were trying to do the same thing as me. Just save a little bit of money while you're living paycheck to paycheck. Trying to get out of debt, pay off a few bills. So I started watching the videos and I got so much motivation from that. I got so many good ideas from that that I actually decided cash stuffing was a method I was going to try, which I did. So we were still working with the same paycheck, same money that we'd always had. The only difference was that instead of just paying everything and taking whatever was left over, thinking, well, this is going to be our spending money, this is what we're going to use for entertainment or whatever we were doing with it, spending a lot of it on coffee, we were spending a lot more purposefully, which helped a lot because that same paycheck that 2 or 3 months before that was barely covering our bills and giving us a little bit of extra was now being used to cover our bills, pay down some debt, and start some savings. So the cash envelopes I found were an amazing way to take some control over my budget. So I rolled up all the coin that I had. I think it was 600 and some odd dollars, almost 700. And I took it to the bank. I cashed it in. And I brought the money home and I started a 100 envelope savings. I started cash stuffing. I worked out a budget, or I thought that I had worked out a budget that would work for us, and I allowed a buffer of about $50 bi-weekly in a miscellaneous envelope in case I had any overages, because I was new to budgeting. Budgeting wasn't something that I had done, although it should have been something I was doing my whole life, but wasn't. I started very late, and that is something I'm very sorry for, because if I had started earlier, I would be in a much better position now. So we moved on to the cash stuffing, and with the exact same money that we were, the paycheck didn't change. It's the same thing. It's just we were using that money better. It was being put to work for us instead of just going wherever, stopping here, there, picking up extra stuff that we didn't really need, buying things we didn't really actually have to have. We just wanted them because we had an extra 20 or an extra 30 bucks. It's no big deal to go out to eat or stop for burgers on the way home instead of coming home to cook. And it was using up all of our money, and we didn't realize it. I don't think you really realize what you spend until you sit down with a pen and paper and take stock of every cent. Where did I spend the money? Bring home your receipts. Sit down with those receipts, go over them, because back then we were not cash shoppers, we were debit card shoppers. And when you're using a debit card, it is so easy to just go into every store and tap and tap and tap until the money is gone. You don't even realize it. You can be spending all of your money in one afternoon just by going from store to store to store to store and tapping that debit card. When you have to actually take the cash physically out of your wallet and pay for something, you can see that money going. You know when your wallet is empty. So that was one of the other things that I found really helped me was having cash, dealing with cash. That meant that I had to take control of what was in my wallet. I had to use it very wisely because once that wallet was empty, that money was gone, we were done. So my spending became so much more purposeful, and that was another thing that allowed us to start some savings. And for the first time, I've been doing this since March of last year. We started emergency funds. We started funds for vet bills. We started funds for car repair. We had all these funds set up and we were contributing to them on a regular basis. And then we had a couple of emergencies that our emergency fund wasn't big enough to cover. But instead of going to a credit card to cover those emergencies, I took all the money that was in the envelopes that we had put away for everything, didn't matter what it was, and we were able to cover those emergencies on our own. We did not have to use credit cards, we did not have to borrow. So just by having that money put away, even though it was not the intended purpose for it when I put it away, it allowed me to get through those emergencies on my own without having to dig a hole, get further in debt, or borrow from someone that I would then have to pay back in the future. So even though it felt like we were taking all the money we had put away, it allowed us to move on without incurring any further debt. And that was a major accomplishment in itself. So once we were through the emergencies, we started again. Every week I was cash stuffing my weekly budget for groceries, any household expenses. That was done on a weekly, well, bi-weekly basis, basically. So that continued through the whole year. And as soon as we had extra money, we could start putting back into the emergency fund and back into the car repair fund. We did that. So long story short, in December, actually on New Year's Eve, I ended the year for the first time in my life with $1,000 put away in an emergency fund. And I had another $1,000 that I could start off the new year with and put into my sinking fund envelopes and my 100 envelope savings. We started them all again for the new year. And this is the first time ever in my whole life that I've been able to do something like that. I've never had anything. Basically, we were living paycheck to paycheck, and we still are living paycheck to paycheck. The only difference is now that we are putting that money to much better use. We're not frittering it away on every little thing. We've made a lot of changes in how we spend our money, and it's actually allowing us to have savings, to build an emergency fund, to start putting things away. And if something happens and we have an emergency that our $1,000 doesn't cover, then I will take whatever money we have put away. It doesn't matter if it's for vacation or if it's for car repair. We'll take it and use it for the emergency rather than to go into debt, because that's the last thing you want to do. You work so hard to get out of debt. The last thing you want to do is get back in. So this is the plan moving forward for 2026. We are working on all of our sinking funds. We're working on building our emergency fund. I'd like to add another $1,000 to that this year if we can. I'm still doing the coin savings as well. This is where I started, and I think I will always be doing this. I am a cash shopper now, and every time you go anywhere, you break a bill, you're getting a handful of change back. So I bring that home. I'm very conscious about putting my change in my container every single time we leave the house. Do any shopping at all, I will come back, and one of the first things I do is empty all of the coin out of my purse and into my bottles. So that way it's not there the next time I go out. I can't use it for anything else. It has a place to be. So we're doing that consistently, and I'm hoping that by the end of 2026, we will have increased our emergency fund by $1,000 more. So we'll be, instead of one, we'll be at 2,000. I'm hoping I don't have figures set out for the rest of the envelopes. I know what we can afford to put in on a weekly basis, and hopefully it can stay in those envelopes and we don't need to use it for something else. But we'll see how it goes. We are going to continue with this. I am having so much fun with the budgeting. I have actively been looking for ways to save money and be able to have that extra to budget with. I want to start doing some mini savings challenges. Everybody else is doing them, and it looks like so much fun. So I'm going to give that a try as well sometime in the future. But for now, we're just working on what we've got going on here and seeing how far we can get with that. Within the next 6 months, I would like to expand that, possibly add a second set of sinking funds for longer term savings. But we'll see how it goes. I want to see how far we can get before we have an emergency. You never know. They pop up all the time. But the main thing I wanted to get across was I did not think that living paycheck to paycheck, you could have savings, or that you could build savings into your budget, really, when you are working with a limited amount of money. But a few little changes can give you some very big results. So if you're like me and you're living on a low income and you don't think that you have room in your budget for savings, start small. Start putting away your coins. Start with a $5 bill. Just start somewhere. And as you see that grow, it will give you the motivation to add to it, to look for other ways where you can save money. If you go grocery shopping, maybe you can cut your spending by, I don't know, $5 this week. If you can buy $5 less, that's $5 that you can put into a savings. And it will add up, trust me. One of the other things I wanted to say was the budgeting community has so much good information. Things you have never thought of doing, someone else has thought of it. Places where you have not looked to cut in your budget, someone else has that information. So get as much information as you can. Watch some of the videos. It's very good entertainment, for one thing. And there is very good information in there for another. And it's one of my best motivators. And I try every day to watch at least 4 or 5 videos because I get so many good ideas. I see what everyone else is doing. I see how they're changing their budgets and working savings in there. And someday you get to a point where you don't have to live paycheck to paycheck anymore. That paycheck stretches further because you're spending less of it. And that's when you get to the point where savings can really start adding up. And I think that's the goal for all of us, is we're trying to get some financial security, to feel like we're not just living paycheck to paycheck anymore. We have that buffer. We have that little bit put aside so that when something happens, we're a little bit more prepared. Or that's one of my reasons for doing it. And that's the feeling I'm getting from this. I feel like, I'm not sure how to explain it. It's a sense of security. Even though it's not a lot, just having that $1,000 in my emergency fund gives me a feeling of security that I don't have to worry about every single little thing every week, because I am preparing. I am doing the best I can to prepare for whatever is going to come. And that's all any of us can do, is you do the best you can. Start small, work your way up, but it's life-changing, really. It has changed my life. It's changed the way I spend my money. It's changed the way I see shopping. As we used to go shopping 3-4 times a week just to get out of the house. We'd go to town and go shopping. We do not do that anymore because every time you leave the house, you spend money. And it's not money that we needed to spend. So that's now money that goes into our savings. And I'm going to do another video on like 10 things that I do now that have allowed me to increase the amount of money that is still in the same paycheck we've had for years. 10 things that I was able to do, or places I was able to make changes, and things that I was able to cut that are giving us the money that we can now put into the savings. So I'm going to leave it there for now, and I'll come back in a day or two once I've gone through this a little better. And I've got probably another bi-weekly budgeting video coming up here as well in the next few days. But anyway, thanks for watching. I really appreciate you taking the time to spend with me, and have a good evening.